Okay, it's raining. There's dots on the windshield that I want you to notice. And if you can see drips coming down, you can follow the drips of water. I want you to take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Deep breath in and out. I want you to take your fingers and stretch them all the way out and close them back in. Not a tight fist, just close them gently. Take your fingers in your hands, stretch them both out, wide, and close them back in. And stretch them back out and close them back in. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath out, or let it out. Okay, so now we can just watch the rain drip down the windshield. And we're done. Welcome, Our House Merit in Art students. First of all, I want to thank Jesse and Alana for painting 2 paintings by Grandma Moses, which was our last lesson. And I also want to give a shout out to Benny, who did a beautiful painting with the rocks at the beach, and the images that you put on the rocks were just spectacular. There were so many good ideas, Benny. Thank you. All right, so today we have another woman artist that I'm going to talk about. This is Alma Thomas, and she is an African-American artist. She was born in the 1891. She died in 1978, which is a long time ago. She started out as an art teacher in a public school. She taught there for over 30 years. And I believe at the age of 60, she became a real artist meaning that she made paintings that hung in museums. And so she was an abstract artist. Abstract means that you're looking at a painting that doesn't really look like anything in particular. To somebody, it could look like a tree. To another person, it could look like a lion. To somebody, it could look like a face. And to somebody else, it could look like an apple. Those are just examples. So they're usually splotches of colors and lines and different forms that make up the painting. And it's just like creates either a mood or an expression or a feeling that you might feel. Nothing in one particular outline of an image. So I'm going to show you one of her first works that she did. This is called Red Abstraction. So to me, this looks like fall leaves, fall colors, fall trees, and there's sort of these stick branches here. These black lines to me look like tree twigs. But to somebody else, it might look like a lion, a lion's mane. And these might be like whiskers or scratch marks. So you can see there's just like splotches of colors and lines and shapes and forms, and that's abstract art. Here's another one, but this one is called March on Washington. This one is more recognizable, but it's still on the abstract side. There are little faces, and each one has like hair on top of their head, it looks like. The bodies, you can't really see clear outlines of bodies, but you get the idea that it's people all in a row marching. And then these could be buildings, or they actually could be the signs that the people are holding up with things that they want to say in the protest or the march. So this was one of her first real abstract paintings. Yes, it has clear hard edge shapes in it, like almost rectangles, almost squares, but it really has no like real picture to it, like real form, like a real animal or a face. This one's called the Watusi, and the Watusi was a dance that was very popular in the 1960s. It was a fast, lively dance, jumping around, and this is what the colors to me, the shapes are like jumping off the canvas. They're moving around. There's lots of white negative space in between to make it look like they're shifting, and they could go to either side. Now this one is something similar that we're going to do in her paintings. This is called the Apollo Splashdown. And Alma was really into color. She was really into little shapes that looked like mosaics, like little tiles of color. Now for me, I can't see a rocket of the Apollo that landed on the moon. I can't see really the moon, and I don't see splashdown water. I mean, this could be water, but then again, it could be land. And I'm not sure what this could be. This could be smoke coming from the rocket, but then again, it looks like a sunset. So this was her version of the Apollo 12 Splashdown. That's the title for this. This one's called Breeze Rustling Through Fall Flowers. Now this one reminds me of the rain that is dripping down the windshield when I showed you in the beginning of our calm moment. So we were watching the raindrops like trickle down, and they all separated. So here you see like little separations, white spots in between each color. It's very cool. This one's called Wind Dancing with Spring Flowers. Maybe this is the wind? I'm not sure where the flowers are, but that's okay. And this one was called Resurrection. Now this one, the Obamas, Barack Obama and his wife, Michelle Obama, they loved her work so much that they had this hanging in the White House when they were there, when he was president of the United States. So not too long ago. And so this is Alma Thomas. Alma had her first art show in when she was 81 years old, and it was at the Whitney Museum in New York City, which is a really big deal. It's a really popular, famous museum. It was the Whitney Museum of American Art. And one of the things that Alma said about this was one of the things, and this is her talking, one of the things that we couldn't do was go into museums, let alone think of hanging our pictures there. My times have changed. Just look at me now. So can you imagine that when Alma was younger, like a young girl, like your age, or maybe even older, she couldn't even go into a museum because she was Black, and let alone hang up and make artwork to be hung in the museum. Well, she's come a long way, and her artwork is just beautiful. I love all the separations of the little colors. So now we're going to do a lesson that is with watercolors, and we're going to try and replicate some of her style. And so the first thing I want you to do is you're going to need your paper, water, Q-tips if you have them, and a big brush and a smaller brush. So with the big brush, the first thing we're going to do is just take water, plain water, and wet our paper. Just water it down. You're making it nice and wet. You don't have to do the whole thing, just do like a small section. And then I'm going to pick out a color. Any color will do. I'm going to start with blue. And I'm just going to start with maybe a circle. Maybe a cloud. Maybe a flower. And the way to make it more abstract is I'm just going to take plain water and I'm going to water that circle down. I'm going to go around and around. I'm going to swish the colors all over the place. Something like this. I'm going to wash out my brush and I'm going to take another color. Maybe I'll do orange this time. Whoops, I forgot to water down my paper. So I'm going to water down my paper. I still have some water from before. Water, water, water. Okay. I'm not going to try and mix these two colors together. I don't want to get too muddy. But I'm going to take another color. Maybe I'll take red or this reddish orange color. And in the wet paint, this is called wet and wet wash. I'm just going to quickly paint maybe a flower shape. Now watch, this is important. I'm going to wet my brush, pick up a lot of water and go around and around. Just keep outlining my flower with just water. I'm trying to drag those colors away. I'm trying to make it abstract looking. I started with a shape and now I'm trying to get like an abstract shape. Okay, this one almost looks like the moon. All right, I'm gonna wet more paper, and it's okay if your paintbrush is a little on the dirty side. So I'm gonna wet another section. Get it nice and wet. And I'm going to take another color. I'll take green this time. And I'm gonna make leaves. And more leaves. So I have a stem. I'm gonna add water to the stem and drag it out and go around my leaves. I'm outlining them, going around and around, and I'm fuzzing them out so they don't even look like leaves anymore. They just look like shapes. Look how cool this came out. Almost looks like a starfish. All right, so one more, let's see, I'll do like a pinky color. And again, I forgot to water my paper down, so let's see, we'll water it down. And maybe I'll do, I'll do a square. And I'll do another square. Whoops. And see what's happening is that the water's so wet, it's great because it's just bleeding. Okay, so there's my two squares. Pick up some water and outline them with just the water, just like we did before. We're fuzzing out the edges, we're blurring them out. So we're creating an abstract piece of art. Okay, when you think you're done, you want to fill up the whole paper with colors, but light colors like this, real quick. Put it aside and let it dry, okay? Now this one I did already from before. This is nice and dry, it's not wet. And what I'm gonna do is now we're going to create all those great little colors of separations. So, let's see. So like here's the wind dancing with spring flowers. Here's the one that reminds me of the rain, the breeze rustling through fall flowers. Here's the Apollo Splashdown. So we're going to, you can take your big brush and I'm gonna pick a color that I didn't use here. So I didn't use blue. I didn't use blue yet. So I'm gonna pick up some blue. And I'm gonna really wet my paintbrush. And you can start in the middle, you can start at the top, and I can just start making raindrops. So here's the deal. See how I'm being careful? I'm trying to get my paintbrush close, but I'm trying to leave little spaces in between. So we're painting right on top of this, but I can only do this because this paper has been dried. All right, I could stop and I could switch over to maybe another color. Oh, excuse me. I have green here, so maybe I'll use green up here. And so this, by creating these little tiles of color that have spaces in between, you can just create a design. You can go in a straight line. You can start curving. And I want you to fill the whole paper up with just these little shapes of colors. I love this pink color. I've used this before. So now maybe I'll start here. And I can do even shorter ones. You just put your paintbrush down and drag it over just a little and leave little spaces in between each shape. Now, if you want, this is fun. If you take a Q-tip and you wet it in the water, let's see, I have to use a color, maybe I'll use a darker purple. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing, but I'm just gently rolling it around. I'm not digging into the paint. Don't dig in. You just want to pick up a little bit of paint. Whoop, this is not going to be a good, let's see if this is going to work. So I'm going to push it down. Oh, it worked. And see what I'm doing? I'm making dots. Now, Alma didn't use dots, but that's okay. We're going to improvise and do something a little bit different. So here I am with my lines again. If you have a couple of different Q-tips, then you can use like both sides and different colors. And see how I'm leaving little spaces in between? You can get a lot out of one Q-tip. So again, you want to fill up the whole paper. Here's another one that I started doing. I started making trees. And then this started looking like a building. And this looked like almost like a bridge. This could be a bridge or a hill with water. And then I did another one that I didn't finish. This shape started looking like a bird to me, so I started outlining it. And this one became a flower just by accident. So again, you just want to keep going with spots of colors, or take your paintbrush and just make the lines of colors. You can also use your little paintbrush. Let's see, I'll use this green. I just put the paintbrush down and dab it. You don't even have to do a stroke. You just blop it on there. Blop it. That's a good art term. Okay, so your whole painting should end up looking, you know, something like this or this one. You can start in the circle and just keep radiating out. And that's it. That's our lesson for today. Alma Thomas, an African-American woman artist. Thank you.